What's up, you guys? I hope you're very well. I hope you're having a very nice day. Um, I'm looking at this little corner of this place where I have a lot of plants. You can see where I put some plants from the previous video, and you can see a little bonsai project here. Uh, but I'm just focusing on this little bottle that we have here. Uh, this is some background for today's video because this is a wine bottle. A couple of months, well, no, it was actually 1 month ago that we went to the beach, and we saw this little seagrass that the waves had deposited there in the beach, and they had brought them in from deeper places of the ocean. And I thought it would be cool to uh, have like a little marine terrarium. And like I said, it's been a month, but you can see that this little project is thriving. The little macroalgae are growing, and you can see that it's even producing oxygen. Let me see if I can zoom in on the little bubbles. So this is, yeah, the inspiration for today's project. Um, if you've been following the channel, you can see that in previous videos, I also worked on a project that was very similar to this one in a closed jar. But that one failed. Uh, well, in some ways it failed, mm, because the little plants didn't stay alive inside. But that was, I think, due to little microorganisms that were living in the sand, in the substrate, that needed more oxygen and maybe died inside and maybe disrupted the delicate balance that you have in this uh, marine projects. So I thought that maybe if I did something like this, but a little bit larger, um, with a little bit of maintenance, I'm trying to keep it as low tech as possible, like the other projects like we've been working on the channel. You could get something interesting. This is also inspiration that I drew from some Japanese internet profiles, especially on Instagram, where they do this with a lot of macroalgae because they suck up all of the unwanted nutrients that you want. Sorry, that you don't want if you have, I don't know, fish and corals and whatever. In my case, of course, I'm not going to keep fish or anything. I'm just want to, I'm just want to, create a little marine terrarium. And this weekend, we actually went back to the beach with a couple of friends, and we were walking down the beach, and I found these two little things. A little fan coral that had been, again, dragged by the waves, and it was already drying up on the beach. And this little mangrove seed, I don't know if it's viable. You can see that it's a bit wrinkly, but I'm going to try and use it as well. This one, this little fan curl, I'm not sure if it's going to survive. You can see that the little tentacles that it has to feed are out. They are protruding, so it gets little zooplankton, or I don't know if it's phytoplankton, but it's out. That's how they feed. They also get some nutrients by photosynthesis. So I'm just going to keep it inside of a aquarium to see what happens. I have a little project and an idea to feed it with infusoria from freshwater tanks. So we'll see what happens. And I also collected some more of those algae that you can find at the beach. So this is going to be our base for our marine, or yeah, marine salted water planted tank. Yeah. So I'm going to show you where I'm going to put these and what substrate I'm going to use. But as I said at the beginning, I'm trying to keep it as low tech as possible. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to show you the materials. So this is the fishbowl that I'm going to be using. You can see that it's on the larger side, much bigger than one of these that I planted before. And yeah, you can see that it's going to have like, well, the plants are going to have like a lot of room to grow. I have some rocks here that are going to be the hardscape. These were also collected from the beach a month ago when I first got the that first bottle that I show you there. And yeah, I think they're going to be interesting to look at. And when it comes to the substrate, well, I'm just going to use beach sand. Yeah, I made an effort so that it would have like different sizes, different particle size, uh, just so that it can help the process of rooting. And the plants have, a place where they can stay stable, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this sand in this fish bowl that we have here, and yeah, that's gonna be the beginning of the process. So here we go. Okay, so sand is in, and you can see that it's looking beautiful already. But just I didn't use it all. Well, you can see that you got a nice layer there, where, like I said, plants can develop if they root, right? I don't know if they work the same way. Maybe some of them are just floaters. Well, if they have like roots, I've seen in the bottle that I showed you before that some of them do have some root-like structures. Like for example, that one. Let's see. Mm, oh, here. See that? So let's see what happens. Yeah. So now I'm gonna put the stones in. I think I'm gonna actually need more sand. That mangrove seed is gonna go here in the middle. But you know, just keep them randomly placed like this. Yeah. So now let's continue with the water. Um, when it comes to the water of the build, that's the most important part. I think of any aquarium because that's just going to contribute or yeah, contribute to the health or the detriment of the whole project. When it comes to marine aquariums, what happens is that you do a lot of water changes because those nutrients build up. Um, with macroalgae and mangroves, what they can do is that they take those nutrients and they use them. They use them for energy and whatever plants do. You have to worry a little bit less about the excess nutrients on the water if you use macroalgae, but still, you gotta do some water changes. Another challenge that I'm going to face with this is water evaporation. Look at all of this surface area where water can continue to evaporate. So since I want to keep this super low tech, I'm just going to be, work it with levels. I'm going to, do a little bit of a mark here or there where I know that the water hasn't evaporated a lot. And I'm just going to continue to replenish it with fresh water so that, the salinity stays constant. 1 second. Sorry, truck went by. So the salinity has to stay constant for the sake of the plants, for the sake of the microorganisms inside. So, yeah, water changes and make sure that the water doesn't evaporate completely. Those Japanese Instagram profiles that I've taught you for that are super successful with these projects also use an aerator stone. One of those little pumps that you get thousands and thousands of bubbles with. They also use them so that the little biofilm of those mm, maybe decomposition, maybe excess nutrients in the water doesn't form in the surface, and it's easily skimmable. You just remove it like that. I'm not going to use it, like I said at the beginning. I want to keep it super low tech, and this is sort of like an experiment, right? I'm going to tweak it as I go. So maybe in the future I am going to add it, but in the meantime, we'll see what happens. Yeah, the upside to this is that I don't have any fish, I don't have any snails that can die, and that I'm going to feel bad about losing. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, and if I want to keep this going, I can just tweak things, add things, remove things, and yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. So I'm going to mix the water, and then I'm going to add it, plant these little fellas, and that's pretty much going to be the end of the video. Yeah, so here we go. So this is the salt water that I'm going to be using. I already mixed that. Um, like I said, low tech, so I use one of those specific gravity hydrometers, and so I filled like maybe a fifth of the whole build. So now I'm going to proceed to plant things. Yeah. So the first one that I'm going to plant is the one that I found at the beach, that little fan coral that I was telling you about, and the little mangrove seed. So the mangrove seed, I think, is going to go right in the middle. I think I'm going to need no more sand for that one, but it's going to go right there. And the other little guy, I'm going to use tweezers to do this. Uh, let's see if I can get it out in one piece. And here it is. And if you look at the of that little rock that we have there, this is how it was attached to whatever it was where it was living. So I'm going to put it here. Oops. So I'm just going to do this with both hands, and then I'll show you what it looks like. But I intend on putting it there. Yeah. So here I go. So you can see this side of it. Like I was saying before, everything went wrong. The little mangrove goes there, almost in the middle, and you can see how I placed the little fan inside of that stone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plant the rest of these, and they're just going to go in the center. Yeah, like so. So it's easy to plant them. But again, I'm working with the background of planted tanks, like fresh water. I know that marine aquariums are completely different, but there are some parameters that are basic that if you keep them in any tank, you can have a fairly good rate of success. Yeah, so I'm going to plant these. One of them is, when it comes to nutrients and excess nutrients in the water, plant heavy, use a lot of plants, and that's going to give you an edge. Look at this one, really nice, huh? So I'm going to continue planting this. We'll see what happens. Yeah. So today, I think for the first time, I got the help of a videographer. So that's why you can see me do this much, much more clearly. So that's pretty much it. Look at this one. It came with a little piece of rock that it was growing into or onto, but it's a different species. By the way, yesterday, I think, I was watching this video about this girl in India. Uh, she created this whole business based on algae, how some of them are super nutritious and also being used by high-end restaurants around the world. Uh, so, you know, interesting. I think that's it. This is one of the last ones. And the last thing that I'm going to do is just fill the rest of the container with water. And we're going to call this a day. Okay. So I'm going to pause the video and we're going to go ahead and do that. So here we are, already full to the brim and a little murky at the moment. But that's just because of the sand and the salt water is a bit murkier, especially if you don't have a filtration system. So, like I said, this is an experiment. That experiment over here I showed you at the beginning is doing very well. So let's see how this one does. Yeah. So, like I said, it's going to be very important to keep an eye for the water level here. So I'm going to do a little bit of a marking there, just to replenish it with fresh water whenever I see it's going down. And yeah, also keep an eye on this little guy, on the feather curl, because if it dies, it can start decomposing and throw the parameters all off, throw the parameters into chaos. And so yeah, we'll see what happens. You can see that it's in a very, very well lit spot. And one more time, let's see what happens. Yeah. The mangrove is there, the little tip. I don't know if this is going to survive because, like I said at the beginning, it was a bit withered already. Yeah, let's see what happens. Anyway, the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit of an update on the previous video, a video from the previous week, and we'll call it a day. Okay, so here we go. And here we have it. Our little tiger lotus that we planted in this tub, it's already sent out a new leaf. The little water lettuce is floating away, and we can even see some aquatic plants that were there, and I had forgotten all about them. But anyway, yeah, let's keep it going. Let's see what happens. Uh, Updates on this little guy, the tiger lotus, the micro crystal pond, and the saltwater fishbowl are coming up on the channel. Yeah, if you have any doubts, comments, questions, anything, drop them down below. Subscribe to my bonsai channel if you haven't. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, bye.